Today I'm going to show you how to transfer your linoleum design to your linoleum block. So first, your design should have half positive space, half negative space. So that means half should be shaded in and half should be left behind. Remember, the part that you're carving is the white space. The part that's shaded in, that's going to be left behind. That's the part that will get printed. For example, here is one of my original designs that I created, and then you can see that the white areas are what gets carved away. And then when you go to print, what gets left behind here that is shaded in is going to be what ends up receiving the black ink. So we're carving away the white areas, not the dark areas. So to transfer your design, first you need to make sure that these areas are shaded in. Now they don't need to be shaded in completely full like this. You can just do a little bit as long as you're aware and you know and you can see what's going to be left behind and what's not. One thing I would suggest is going back and making sure your outside lines are nice and dark, because those are the lines that you really are important to transfer. Next, you're going to take your linoleum block and you are going to turn your pencil drawing over and you're going to arrange that on the linoleum. Then you're going to take a pair of scissors. Now what's important here is that we don't have your paper shift. Once you hold your paper down, you want to leave your paper and you start rubbing, leave the paper alone. Try not to have it shift on you. So you always want to keep a hand on your paper, keeping it in place. Next, I'm going to use the back edge of your scissors, and I'm going to kind of, instead of going straight up and down like this, I'm going to kind of angle it a little bit, and then I'm going to press down, and I'm going to rub really hard. And you should be rubbing hard enough so the paper actually curls. So and standing up to do this is really best, because then you have your upper body strength with you. This does not work as well if you're sitting down. And you'll see that as I'm rubbing, keeping my hand on the paper, if I lift the paper back, you can start to see the design transfer. You really want to make sure that you get all your edges and you want to check that the entire paper has transferred, and so that you can see what's going on. Now you can see here that I didn't press down hard enough in this area, so I'll put this back down and then I'll go back in and I'll press harder to try and get that to transfer better. This is where making sure that you have something that's pressed down hard with your pencil so that you can see that. As long as you can see the design, then you're okay and you're able to see where you need to trace. So I think for me that's pretty good. So I'm going to take this off now, and now I'm going to use a pen and I am going to trace my lines. Now the reason I'm doing this is because if I don't trace this, then if I keep pressing this, this is eventually going to smear. And if I do that enough, I'm going to lose kind of where do I need to cut and where do I don't. So by just outlining it in pen, and if you don't think you need to trace the shaded areas, you don't have to, as long as you can see where you're cutting. That's fine. But if you feel you want to go back in and you want to really make it very evident as to what's being carved and what's being left behind, then my suggestion is just going back and just kind of filling in just like this. Just enough so that you can see this is what's being left, and the white really kind of pops out so you know that's what you're carving. Okay? Then you're ready to carve.